you'll notice in this particular verse, it says here that the whole praetorium knew about him. For everyone here, including the whole palace guard, knows that I am in chains because of Christ. So on their guard rotation, I could just imagine this. Paul is sitting there waiting, and he's talking to every single guard that comes through as to why he's in jail. Who does that? Right? Who is that guy? Most of us would be like, oh, these guys don't want to hear about this. They probably have something better to do. They're here. I got to be careful because they could turn around and kill me in a moment's notice. That was the culture they lived in. Paul ended up telling every single guard. And the guards shared the stories because I can just imagine how that works, right? When you begin to tell something to someone, what happens? They tell the story to somebody else. And then somebody else repeats the story to somebody else. And the next thing you know it, everyone knows about what's going on. And in this particular case, everybody knew why Paul was in prison. Everyone knew his story about how much he loved Jesus. Everyone knew about the change that took place in his life from who he was when he was Saul to who he is today as Paul. Everyone knew that story. He wasn't shy about telling the story. He chose to encourage other Christians as well. And so, man, so many times we get back to the place of wallowing in self-pity. Have you ever thought about that God could use your boldness in a place where you feel your lowest to encourage someone? Have you ever thought about that your life choices matter to people that you may never even have a conversation with? Because you don't know what's going on in the conversation between God and an individual. But your life matters because it's going to encourage somebody else to continue to live in their faith, regardless of where they're at. And Paul chose to live boldly for Jesus. And by doing this, he was able to encourage other Christians just like him that were, one, being persecuted for their faith, and it helped them to be just as bold in their faith. Isn't that awesome? And I want you to know today, the enemy wants to tell you today that what you do doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about the little things. That's just the little things that matter. And I want to encourage you today that your faith matters to people around you. It matters to your family. It matters to your neighbors. It matters to your friends. It matters to other people in your church. It matters to your community, and it matters to your world. What you do right here in Foley, Alabama, and how you live your faith matters to other people. You could be the very person that's going to encourage someone on their lowest and darkest day because you are living out your faith. You don't know that, but you could be. And opportunities abound for us every day to be so discouraged, right? We think of times of financial burdens. We think of family conflict. We think of other relationship issues. We think of job issues. Loss of jobs. We think of high gas prices. Come on. All these things, right? It's so easy for us to be discouraged instead of encouraged. The only way we find this place of true encouragement, of true joy, is being in a close, loving relationship with Jesus Christ. That's it. You can't pretend that. You can't fake that. You can't get to joy any other way than knowing who Jesus is. And when you know who Jesus is, then he begins to fill us with his presence. That's the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit then causes us to change internally. It causes us to change our way of thinking, causes us to change the way that we look at things, causes us to change the way that we act towards others and the way that we treat others. And we begin to look for ways to demonstrate our faith versus ways to say, oh, I can't do anything about this. God, help us to be people that actually flip the situation on its head.